Hello students, welcome back to lecture 2 of user-defined methods. So in today's lecture, we will be knowing more about the advantages of functions, the formal and actual parameters, and the two types of functions, that is pure and impure functions, with an exercise where the learned concepts will be revised once again. Okay, so first comes the advantages of functions. Now, by now you all must have practiced writing some functions, because in every program you have to write the coding within a function, right? So if you see the advantages, the function, the first advantage which is written here is it makes program modular. Yes, see, with the help of functions, you can divide a big task into small parts, and each part can be done in a separate method. So in one way, it makes program modular. Okay, and because of this, the error detection becomes easier. Like if you have everything written in one particular method, for example, public void calc. Now this method is dealing with calc, and the next method is dealing with accepting the data. Okay, and the next method is dealing with display. Right, so this is something like the program is, the functions are making the program modular. Like here you are dividing the entire task into 3 parts, each part performing individual function. For example, the get method is for accepting the data part. Calc method is for processing part, where you do the calculations depending on the program. And the last one is for displaying the data. Okay, so you have divided the task into parts, and each part you are doing in separate function. Thus, the program becomes modular, and because of this, the error detection is easier. You can easily detect where the error is, and you can even fix up the errors. The debugging becomes easier. Now, debugging is nothing but identifying and fixing up the errors. Fine, so that also becomes easier because of its modular approach. And then the updating the program, like in case you want to do some changes with the calculation. For example, you have written the program for adding 2 numbers, but later on there is a requirement of adding 3 numbers. So you can do those changes in the written functions, and it becomes easier to update the functions because they are individual functions. Debugging becomes easier, fixing up errors becomes easier, and updating the functions become easier. So these are all the advantages due to program following modular approach. And the third advantage is it reduces code redundancy. Now, what is it? It is nothing but, see, once a function is defined, that function can be called by any other function anywhere. Like that function can be called by any other function. Thus, the programmer need not write each time the same function. If suppose in you have some 2-3 programs which are making use of, for example, in class sum. 1 second. For example, in class sum, you are finding sum of 2 variables, public void calc. Okay, you are finding sum of two variables, int a comma int b. Okay, I'm not writing the whole code. Now there is another class, suppose average, which is calculating the average. Okay, average of two numbers. Now here, public void, again, this is calc average for two variables, two integers. Now, for calculating the average, you have to first calculate the sum, right? So here, instead of rewriting the code, what can be done is you can call this method, like you can reuse the existing method, and you don't have to write the coding for finding the sum part. You can only add the coding for average. So this is a very simple example. So if the program is little complicated, then this becomes more, more effective. Therefore, the thing is, we can avoid code redundancy by calling the existing methods in a program as and when required. So this concept will obviously reduce the code writing again and again, because a method once written can be reused, can be recalled in any other program, right? And then another advantage is it acts like a black box. The functions act like black box. Like you just have to call the method. It will hide all unnecessary details, the complicated things from the user. You can just call the method. For example, you can call calc for calculating. You can call the method dis for displaying, etc. So one of the advantages is it acts like a black box, right? For example, when you go to ATM for withdrawal or for any checking the balance, etc., you just see all the options there, right? You just know that if you click a particular button, it will give you information related to that, and you use it, right? And you are not aware of the complications or the coding part involved with that particular function, right? Same way, when you write a program, after you create an object and you right click in the pop-up menu, you will see all the functions there, right? Which you can just click and get it activated or make it work, right? So that is how the function acts like a black box. So these are some of the advantages of functions. Now, okay. Yeah, so let's move to the next concept. Here, yeah, the formal and actual parameter. I think last class, while explaining you one of the concept, I have explained formal and actual parameter in detail. So I don't want to repeat it. And so we just move to the next topic, which is pure and impure functions. Right. Now, in your programs, you come across several methods which can be divided into two types, that is pure or impure functions. Fine. Now, what are pure functions? Now let me write one simple example. For example, here there are some variables. Let's take a single variable A, and there are some methods, public, void, calc, which will do some kind of calculations. For example, if I say A is equal to A plus 10, right? Then there is another method, public void dis, which is displaying the value of system.out.print and it displays the value of A. Now let's consider these two methods and see the difference between them. Now, if you see the first method, here this calc method is changing the value of A by 10. It will increase the value of A by 10. Right? That means it is somewhere changing the state of an object. It is changing the value stored in the memory for the variable A. Yes, it is making some change with the value stored in the memory for the instance variable A. Now, if you check the method this, in this method, it is just displaying the value of A and not doing any kind of change or any kind of updation with the value stored in variable A. Therefore, calc is an example of impure method which changes the state of an object, whereas disp is an example of a pure method which do not change state of an object. So basically, the display functions or the where the method is returning the value without changing, those methods come under pure functions, and the methods where for example calc method where generally the values of the variables are changed, they all come under impure functions. Okay, so hope you got this. Now let's go to the differences which are tabulated here. So the first point is pure methods do not change the state of an object, right? So whatever values are there in the memory for the particular variable will not get affected by the pure methods. They will remain same, right? Whereas impure method change the state of an object. That means when they are using instance variables for doing some kind of calculations, which is likely to change the value of the variable, the value stored in the memory. So such methods which do the changes with the state of an object come under impure methods. Okay. Now coming to the second point, the pure methods are also known as accessor methods. The other name for pure methods is an accessor method, and impure methods are also known as mutator method. The other name for impure method is mutator, right? The names are also very, similar with the literal meanings they possess. So you can easily remember the other name for pure and impure function. And as explained, disp, which is basically used for displaying the state of an object, displaying the values of the variables, come under pure method. And the methods like calc, which computes and changes the value stored in the variable. It could be computing discount price or adding commission to the sales value, anything of that sort where the variable stored in the memory is getting affected. So such methods come under impure functions. Okay, so that is the basic difference between pure and impure functions. Okay, now you have a small exercise which will help you to recall all your concepts and apply. So just make an effort to do this part. So this is an exercise. The question is, study the following code snippet and answer the following questions which are written after the code snippet. So I'll just move it up. Yeah. So please go through the code. And once you understand the code, try to answer the questions written at the bottom. Okay, the numbering is not in correct order, but you can just uh, try it out. I'll give you a minute time. Please go through the code, understand it, and then try answering the questions written here at the bottom. Hope you must have completed. Okay, let's start discussing the questions. Yeah, the instance variables. Name the instance variables. The answer for this is VAL and CH. Okay. The instance variables are nothing but the variables which are declared in the beginning of the program before any methods or constructors. So in this program, there are two instance variables, VAL and CH. Okay. Then the second question is name the formal parameters. I'm sure you must have all got it right. Yeah, as I told you, the formal parameters are the parameters which are declared in the function header. So here, these are the two formal parameters declared in the function calc. So V and ch1 are the formal parameters. Then name the actual parameters. Yeah, as I told you, actual parameters are passed while calling a method, while invoking a method. So here you can see in the main method, the object is created and the method is called using obj.calc. So when you call the method, you have to pass actual parameter, right? So 10, a is the actual parameter in this case. 10 and a, the character a. Okay. Then what is the result stored in VAL after the main method is executed? So suppose you are asked to write the output for this program. So you have to consider the method where the function call is happening. See, in the first two methods, this is just a calc method calculating VAL and returning it. Because it is returning VAL, the return type is not void, but an int, which is correlating with the variable VAL. VAL is declared int, so the return type is declared here is int, which is correct. It can also be, it can be float, double, or any higher data type, but cannot be lesser than int. Okay. And in this, you are just displaying the value of VAL and CH, nothing more than that. And in main, first the object is created. Okay. The object is created here. So what happens when an object is created? See, let's understand the significance of this. When an object is created, internally, the instance members of the program will be allocated the memory. One second. Yeah, so with this statement, the instance variable VAL and CH will be allocated the initial value. Okay, the integer, because VAL is integer, it will be given a default value 0 and CH a character, so it gets a dummy value by the object. Okay, so yeah, as I think this has also been discussed, new is related to memory allocation, and this sample, this is nothing but the constructor which will initialize the instance members of the program by default values, because only when the instance members are initialized, memory can be allocated. Therefore, these changes will take place in the memory once an object is created. So this is done. Now, obj.calc, we are calling the method calc in the main function. Now, obj.calc accepts two parameters. Therefore, we need to pass two arguments in correlation with the way it is declared in the function header. So here the function signature exactly match with this. Therefore, the compiler will call this method. V and ch1 will receive the value 10 and a. Okay. Now you have to substitute the values here and find out the value of VAL. Now what it is, 2 into V minus minus plus minus minus V plus ch1. So this is your post decrement and pre decrement. So I'm sure you must be knowing it. Because it is post decrement, it will first assign the value. Here V is 10. So this is 10 and later it will change to 9 plus this is pre-decrement. So it will first do the operation or the task of decreasing V by 1. Now the V value is 9. So it decreases by 1, becoming 8 and then assigns the value. And here ch1 value is 8. Okay. So now here again, as per the order of precedence, first multiplication has to be done. Now this is 28 plus 8. Now here the two data types involved are int and char. Which is higher? Yes, it is integer. So the compiler will convert this a to its ASCII value and get them added up. So it will be 28 plus 65. The ASCII value for capital A is 65. So it becomes 93. Fine. So the VL value here is 93. Now return will return the value back to the calling method here, which we are assigning to the variable ANS and displaying. Okay. So here the value of VAL, which is 93, is given and 93 is assigned to ANS. So it will display the value of the output as the output will be like this. Output is equal to, and ANS value is your 93, right? So if you execute main function in the terminal window, you will get the output like this. So the result stored in VAL. So if you want to answer it as per this question, your answer will be 93, right? The result stored in VAL is 93. Okay. And the last question is, name the pure and impure function of the program above. So yes, so obviously Your pure function is which do not change the state of an object. So in this case, it is this, which is just displaying the values, displaying the instance variables without doing any kind of change with the value stored in it. Therefore, disp is the pure function and calc is an example of impure function. You can see the VAL initially is 0, but when the main function is calling the calc, then VAL changes to 93. So the change is happening in the memory for the value VAL. Change is happening in the memory for the variable VAL. So, and the change is being done by the calc method. Therefore, calc is an example of impure function. Got it? Yes. So, hope all your concepts which were done till now, starting with instance variables, formal and actual parameters, pure and impure functions, the return type, all these are clarified with this example. So with this, we come to the end of today's class. We will stop here. Thank you, children.